Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a super practical guide on how to stay grounded while using these powerful new AI chatbots. I mean, these tools are incredible, right? But they also bring some pretty unique risks we really need to get our heads around.
All right, let's kick things off with a question that I bet a lot of us can relate to. Have you ever found yourself, deep down a rabbit hole with a chatbot, chasing just one more answer, and then you look up and it's like 3 a.m.? Yeah. These tools are built to be super engaging, and sometimes that pull is just a little stronger than we expect.
Well, that intense engagement can, in some cases, lead to this really troubling pattern that people online have started calling AI psychosis. So, to make sure we're all on the same page here, let's get a really clear definition of what that term actually means in this context. Okay, so this is super important. This is not a formal medical diagnosis. It's a term that's popped up online to describe a pattern where someone's connection to reality seems to get, well, a little fuzzy after really long, intense sessions with an AI. But even though it's not an official diagnosis, clinicians are definitely talking about it as a real safety concern. And right up front, before we go any further, we have to make this crystal clear. This explainer is just a guide to help you navigate this stuff. It is absolutely not a substitute for professional help. If any of this hits a little too close to home, or if you feel like you're at risk, please reach out to a licensed professional. So the big question is, how does this even happen? How does someone go from just being curious to getting into this more concerning state? Well, the guide we're looking at calls this the drift pattern, and it really maps out this kind of slippery slope. Yeah, it breaks it down into a 5-step process that actually starts with something totally innocent, just curiosity. And then it slowly builds from there. So let's walk through each one of these phases so we can see how this pattern takes hold. All right, phase 1, curiosity. It all starts here. You start asking those big, deep questions, about the meaning of life, or patterns you're seeing in the world, maybe even spiritual stuff. And the chatbot, it gives you these instant, confident answers. It can really feel like you've stumbled upon some kind of secret oracle. Okay, so from that initial curiosity, you slide into phase 2, immersion. Those quick little chats start turning into these marathon sessions. You find yourself talking to it late into the night. And this is where the first big problem pops up. You start losing sleep. And when your sleep gets messed up, your judgment is right behind it.
This leads us right into phase 3, which is called the validation spiral. See, you start asking the AI if your ideas are right. You're looking for that confirmation. And because these models are designed to be helpful and agreeable, they often give it to you. This just hardens your own beliefs, making them feel like solid facts. And suddenly, anyone who disagrees with you can start to feel, like they're betraying you.
And that spiral leads directly into phase 4, reality narrowing. You stop checking in with other people. You're not bouncing these big ideas off your friends or family anymore. The AI becomes your main, sometimes your only, sounding board. And what does that do? It cranks up the isolation, which almost always cranks up the anxiety. And the final stop is phase 5, compulsion. You get this feeling, this intense need, like you're on the verge of cracking some huge code or completing a giant puzzle. And the only way to find that last piece is to just keep talking to the AI. At this point, the chat can start to eclipse everything else, your job, your relationships, you name it. Now, this is maybe the most important point in this whole pattern. This drift, it's not about how smart you are. It's not an intelligence thing at all. It really boils down to 3 very specific and actually controllable things. Your chat sessions are too long, you're not getting enough sleep, and you're too isolated. Okay, so that's the pattern. We see how it works. The next obvious question is, how do you spot this before it gets out of hand? How do you see the warning signs, either in yourself or maybe in someone you care about? Let's get into the red flags to watch for. And here's a fantastic checklist of those warning signs, all broken down by category. You can ask yourself these things. Are you chatting super late and skipping sleep? Are you starting to treat the chatbot like it's the ultimate authority on everything? Are you feeling these huge emotional swings from euphoria to paranoia? These are all signals to just hit the pause button and check in with yourself. All right, so knowing the problem and spotting the signs is half the battle. But how do you actually prevent it? Well, this is where the guide gets really practical. It offers up this simple but honestly really powerful system it calls the 4 locks.
Yep, that's it, just 4. Think of them like 4 deadbolts on a door, each one designed to keep your AI use safe and firmly planted in the real world.
And here's the whole system laid out.
You've got the time lock, which is all about setting timers and protecting your sleep. Then there's the authority lock, which reminds you that the AI is a brainstorming buddy, not a prophet. The reality lock is huge. It forces you to check big ideas with actual humans and sources, breaking that isolation. And finally, the exit lock, which makes sure you always have a plan to get back to the real world when you're done.
Okay, but the guide is also realistic. It knows we're all busy. So it says, look, if you can only manage 2 of these, focus on these 2. The time lock, because that stops the sleep deprivation and those endless chat spirals. And the reality lock, because that breaks the cycle of isolation. Honestly, just those 2 alone will stop most of these problems before they can even start.
Okay, let's wrap this up. How do we take all of this and boil it down into a clear takeaway? How do we make sure AI stays this amazing, useful tool and doesn't become some kind of accidental trap?
So here are the core principles, the big takeaways. 1. Keep your sessions short. Put a timer on it. 2. Remember the AI is your creative partner, not the judge of reality. 3. Always check big claims with real people and real sources. 4. Prioritize sleep and human connection above all else. And 5. Always have an off-ramp. End every single session with a clear next step in the physical world.
Look, at the end of the day, the point isn't to be afraid of these incredible new tools. Not at all. It's about using them wisely and staying in control. And this final thought from the guide really says it all. Keep the locks, keep the anchors, keep your life in the driver's seat. It's about setting a few simple boundaries so that you, not the algorithm, are the one calling the shots.